Good morning here in the United States in the East Coast. Shabbat Shalom. Good evening there in the far eastern part of the earth, what we call Southeast Asia. Good afternoon for everyone in between. Welcome and greetings to the 12 tribes of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, spread abroad throughout the earth according to Bible prophecy, and are awaiting the Hebrew Messiah of the tribe of Judah for deliverance, which is soon to come. Greetings to you. Greetings also to those who have decided to come to the nation of the scattered people of Israel and worship their God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the only true God. Also, blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, seeking to save lives and comfort those that are sick. Blessings upon those also that pick up garbage to try to keep our places clean. Blessings upon those that make deliveries for us to make us lives more convenient. Double blessings on those out here trying to deliver babies and boys and girls and teenagers and adults from the wickedness of sex slavery and human trafficking. And curses, double curses upon those from the top down that support such an industry. Finally, blessings on those trying to help the homeless, people that don't have a roof over their head, that will sleep outside. 500,000 of such in the United States alone. Men, women, children, families, veterans, heroes, former heroes on the streets. Blessings upon those trying to help, and blessings on those that are the people themselves, not only the 500,000 in the United States, but multiple millions around the world. Blessings upon them. We've been studying Jeremiah, and as we're continuing in chapter 8 today, I think it's very apropos. I think it's extremely timely that this was the first week that marked the holiday that's now called Juneteenth, the Juneteenth holiday. I think it's very typical of Babylon to mark a holiday called Juneteenth, and yet at the same time fighting in Congress to deny the teaching of what that holiday represents, to deny the teaching of the true history of slavery and the true history of the economic development that slavery brought to the United States. There are people in Congress trying to deny the fact, trying to actually actively stop any teaching of that. Why would you think? Why would any human being, no matter what color you are, why would a human being want to stop the teaching of true history? Right? I mean, think about that for a second. Why would any human being have a desire to try to stomp out, make illegal the teaching of any true history, no matter what it is, unless they were like a criminal trying to hide the evidence? You understand what I'm saying? A criminal that has committed a criminal act and is trying to hide the evidence. They don't want anyone to see anything that might lead to that evidence. See? Or if somebody was to look bad when some situation in historical contents is revealed, they don't want anybody to know about that because they don't want to look bad or appear bad in anyone's eyes. So they would hide the evidence, deny the evidence, destroy the evidence as much as they can. Okay? Yes. So that if you committed a crime, you have broken the law of the Most High, and you want to hide that fact. And it goes with what we read very recently in a very modern, not modern, but a very popular text among Christians, but they don't obviously read the whole thing in context. We will today in Gospel of John chapter 3. Now, everyone likes verse 16, but let's look after that. Gospel of John, chapter 3, beginning at verse 16. And let's go from verse 16 down to verse 21. For Yah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For Yah sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of Yah. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men loved darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in Yah. So people that want truth want the light of truth to shine on what they have done. But people that do evil don't want the light of truth to shine on what they have done, because it says that their deeds would be reproved. The word reproved is very interesting. It doesn't just mean corrected or chastised. No, when you look at it in the Greek, it means exposed. Their deeds would be exposed. It's kind of silly, isn't it? I mean, really, when you think about it. Because when you're looking at the subjects of the slavery in the United States of America today, it is quite obvious that something is wrong. Like, I mean, when you look at the lowest pay grades, the highest levels of heart disease, murder, imprisonment among different peoples in the United States, the ones that are the former slaves are the highest in every category. So you have, even if you want to ignore the history, you have to look at this and say, well, okay, what is it about these people that caused them to have the highest levels of imprisonment, incarceration, murder, heart disease? Why is it about these people that they're always consistently the poorest? They have the least net worth of any peoples in the United States. Why is that? Now, the excuse that the liars will give you that want to cover up history is that we're just lazy. We're just naturally wild. We're just uncivilized, uncultured. We're just people that are below people because of the color of our skin. We're just inferior human beings. That's what they would want you to believe. But the problem they have is that there's this thing they beat us over the head with called the Bible. And they beat us over the head with it, trying to pound white Jesus into our spirit when we came here in chains. And as it turns out, I mean, they beat us over the head with this Bible so much that there's a lot of our people that would look at the Bible and say, that's a white man's book. I've heard many Black people say that. Many so-called African Americans say that. That's a white man's book. That's not for us. That's a white man's book. I've heard many people say that. People that became Nation of Islam, people that became other faiths, people that became Egyptologists, all kind of people. That's a white man's book, which proves a couple of things. Number one, the most important thing it proves to me is that you haven't read it. And I have a pet peeve. Y'all know it. I can't stand it when somebody try to make judgment on this book and have never read it. That bothers me. Especially an important book like this. You're going to make judgment and you haven't read it. That's problem number one. Problem number two, which is very close to number one, is it shows how strong and deep the brainwashing has become. It shows how strong the brainwashing is. Because when you read this book for yourself, when you really read it, all of the major characters are brown people. all of the major characters, especially the chosen ones, are brown people. So how could it be a Caucasian man's book when most of the people in it are black? But unless you read it, you wouldn't know that. Okay? Unless you read it. And so the other problem they have is that when we do read this book, we can clearly see it has prophesied. It has given us a foreknowledge of everything that has happened in this country up to this day. It has foretold from thousands of years ago, literally thousands of years ago, it foretold us today. Okay, it foretold all of it, so that when we read it, we can totally understand. We can 100% without fail clearly see why we're here, how we got here, what the history of us is. It tells us everything. It tells us everything. And it tells us what's about to happen, which is why we clearly understand what's coming. Okay, because it tells us. This same book. Now, there is a difference, and I stress this during most of the teachings that the Most High gives me, but I want to start today stressing it. There is a difference between using something and following it. Using it and following it. When you follow it, it's a religious thing in terms of it becomes your guide. When you use it, you're manipulating it. Are you understand what I just said? So there's a difference between manipulating something, using something in the course of manipulation, and being a devoted disciple of it. And why do I say that? Christians use the Bible. Mostly the New Testament. They use it to create their religion. Now, because the Bible is a volume of books that is just not the New Testament, if you do that, if you just think about it logically, if it's a whole 66 divisions volume of books and you use one small sliver of it, it is obvious you are missing a large part of it. It is obvious not only you missing a large part of it, you are not, whatever you're going to do is not going to be dictated by it, because you cannot have the full story with just a small part of the book. So therefore, in order to have their religion, they use the Bible. They manipulate it for their purposes, for their religion. Judaism manipulates it and uses it because they claim they only use the books of Moses, the Pentateuch, or they call it the Torah. And it's the same problem. If you're only using, or you're manipulating, or you're employing just these 4 books or 5 books, the Pentateuch, you're missing a whole bunch. And so by virtue of that, you're not going to have everything the book is telling you to do in a clear manner. But they are using it to create the religion of Judaism. And then Islam uses Abraham. They use Abraham because their claim is that their people are descendants of Abraham, and that they have been given another religion with another book from another man that's an Arab. And they use Abraham to try to legitimize that. They take some of the words from this book and place it in theirs so that it looks similar. But there's very stark differences because it's not the book. It's not the book itself. And all three of these religions, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity, bind themselves together to call themselves Abrahamic, because they all claim origins with Abraham. But when you actually read the book, Abraham founded no religion. Zero. He didn't create any religion. Abraham was a follower, a disciple, a devotee of the God that came to him. The God of his forefather, Eber, because he was a Hebrew. And of Eber's forefather, Shem. And of Shem's forefather, Noah. And of Noah's forefather, Lamech. Of Lamech's forefather, Methuselah, and going all the way back to Adam. And the Most High told Abraham, I'm going to give you a promised seed. And that seed is your people. He had other sons. Ishmael was a Hebrew because he came from Abraham. He had other sons from Keturah. They was all Hebrew because they came from Abraham, the Hebrew. But Isaac, he said, in Isaac shall your seed be called. And there's at least two or three, at least one religion, Islam, that denies that. You have to, in order to create an Arab man as your prophet. You have to. Okay? You have to. Okay? So the Bible itself tells us that Isaac was the chosen son. Isaac had two sons. The Bible, see, a lot of men in the Bible have multiple wives and multiple sons. A lot of men, starting with Adam. Okay? But just for emphasis, Isaac only had one wife and two sons. One of his sons, the firstborn, was Esau, who came from, the Bible clearly says that's Edom. And he said, Esau, I hated, but Jacob I loved. Jacob was a Hebrew because he came from his father Isaac, a Hebrew, and he came from his grandfather Abraham, a Hebrew. But not only that, Jacob, just like the apostles of the Messiah, just like Moses, just like them, he actually physically met Messiah face to face. And at the command of Messiah's father, he said to Jacob, your name is no longer Jacob. Your name is Israel. So that the name Israel was now holy because it did not come from man. They didn't make up a name and say Judaism or Christianity or Islam. No, that name came from the third heaven, from the Father himself, from the Father's representative Messiah, who Jacob personally met and wrestled with. And he said, your name is Israel. So now Jacob's children, of which he had 12, are the children of Israel. And all of them being the children of Israel, they are also Hebrews because their father Jacob was a Hebrew, his grandfather Isaac was a Hebrew, and their great-grandfather Abraham was a Hebrew. So they are Hebrew Israelites. This is the chosen people. From these people on the earth come all the prophets since Jacob to now. There's been no Arab prophets. There's no Chinese prophets unless they are the seed of Jacob, which is entirely possible. There's seed of Jacob that are black people in China. But as far as coming from Japhet or any other seed, whether it be Semite or Hamite or even Ham, Japhite, or Japhet, Japhet or Ham, or even of Shem, if it's not from Jacob, there are no prophets. He speaks to the earth through his chosen servants. His only servants are Israelites. And if you want to be a servant, you can be grafted in to the Israelites, but you would know that. That being the case, it's It's very easy to say, we're going to make a holiday. We're not giving you any of your back pay. Somebody said, well, why don't you go back to Africa if you don't like it here? I would love to leave the United States of America, but I'd like to collect what's owed to my forefathers first. You know, you give me my money, I'm gone. Give me what you owe. But I know y'all ain't going to do that. Okay, they're not going to give you what you owe. We're going to get what's owed to us from our Father. Okay? And we will go where he leads us. But that is why, and I'm going to say something very controversial here. Listen to me carefully. I want to make sure y'all can hear me. Testing 1, 2, 3. Make sure you can hear me because it's going to be controversial, but I got to tell the truth, period. End of story. Y'all got me? Testing 1, 2, 3. I want to make sure you got me now. Listen. That's why when a black man decides, I don't want to salute the flag, I'll burn the flag. You know why we could do that? Because it's on that flag we became slaves and we built the nation that that flag represents. So we decide we could spit on the flag, we could do that because we earned that right. That's why. We earned that right. Somebody said, well, people fought for that flag. That's right. Black people came from wars with their uniforms on and got strung up by trees. Yes, they did. With their uniforms on. That's how much them wars mean to the people we fought for. There are people right now that fought wars for this country, and today they're living on the street. They're living on the street, some of them because they can't handle all of the stuff they saw, all of the things they did in the name of freedom for this country. See, that's why they don't want you to know true history. But yet, every day, it's staring them in the face. It's staring all of us in the face. And you got to be willfully ignorant to not want to see it. It's staring you right in the face. Okay? So, praise the Most High that he gives us the truth in his word. Juneteenth, Martin Luther King Day, Black History Month. That ain't putting no money in my pocket. That ain't paying my mortgage. It's nice, but that's a cheap way of claiming you acknowledging something. But the only true way to be able to do it is to have true repentance. It's not even the reparations, it's repentance. But Charlie, the people that did this to us and that are now controlling the system, they ain't gonna repent of nothing. They're not going to. That's why the Bible says, in fact, Revelation chapter 16. We read this already when I studied the book of Revelation. Revelation chapter 16. I'm going to start at Revelation 16, start at verse 5. The Bible says, and I heard the angel of the waters say, thou art righteous, O Yahweh, which art and was and shall be, because thou hast judged us. For they have shed the blood of saints and prophets, and thou hast given them blood to drink, for they are worthy. And I heard another out of the altar say, even so, Al Shaddai, true and righteous are thy judgments. And the fourth angel poured out his vial upon the sun, and the power was given unto him to scorch men with fire. And men were scorched with great heat, and blasphemed the name of Yah, which hath power over these plagues. And they repented not. They repented not to give him glory. Yes, brethren. The lines are being drawn already. The wheat and the tares are being separated. The sheep and the goats are being separated. It starts here with the acceptance or rejection of truth. Those that receive the truth are sheep of the master shepherd. Those that want to be willfully ignorant of truth are the goats. And it does not mean in the Bible the greatest of all time. It does not mean that. They might try to push that in the sports world, but not in the Bible. Okay? It's not that. You're in bad shape if you are one of the goats. Okay. So that's where we come today. What we're going to read today in Jeremiah chapter 8 is the sign of the Israelite captivity. Just like Deuteronomy 28 woke a lot of us up in terms of the captivity part, in terms of the suffering part of the Israelite people, as it is so detailed described, so will Jeremiah 8 and 9 show us the same thing. It's going to show us details about the captivity of the Israelite people. Not only the captivity that they would suffer then, of course, in the nation of Israel, where the kingdom of Babylon would take them, but also now with the scattered nation, because it says we're going to be scattered, and you're going to read that there in Jeremiah, scattered nation with the worldwide kingdom of Babylon. And let me show you that also in the scriptures. Well, let's start at Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7. I love the scriptures for this reason. That's why I love this book so much. And I'm so zealous against anybody that speaks against it. You want to get on my bad side? Tell me you're speaking against the Bible and you have never read it. I will totally ignore you. You will mean nothing to me, because this book I have that much deep respect for. Okay. I have deep respect for it. And why? Because it has shown me so much. It has explained to me things that will bother me and my people for many years. And it has explained it clearly, and I can see it. That's why nobody can convince me, oh, you guys are not the true Israelites. I'm not going to argue with you. The book tells me. I'm not going to argue with you. You can believe that if you want. The book tells me who I am, and I believe the book. Okay? I believe the book. Daniel chapter 7, talking about the little horn. Daniel chapter 7. The little horn, which represents the Roman Catholic Church. Okay? The woman, the whore that was riding the beast. The whore that was riding the beast. Okay? Let's take a look at that. Beginning chapter 7 of Daniel, beginning at verse, I'm going to start at verse 17, because I like verse 18. I want you to remember verse 18. Watch. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. Verse 18. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. That's pretty definitive. The saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. Let's continue. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron, his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. And I beheld, and the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth. Shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it in pieces. That's the fourth kingdom. That's the Roman church that the woman is riding. The woman that's riding that beast shall devour the whole earth and tread it down. Okay, that's what you got right now. And break it in pieces. What does it mean? Dividing it up according to who they want controlling. Okay. And it said that it says judgment. It says, wait, I beheld the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. Remember that part. The horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them, right? Now watch. Revelation chapter 13. Revelation chapter 13. Revelation 13. So the horn is represented in this first beast of Revelation 13. Okay, the whore is riding this beast, right? So it's one big system. Okay, so you see the beast in verse 2 of Revelation 13. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, seat, and great authority. And we just read, it said, and they were doing what? It said, they shall make war with the saints and prevail against them. That's why we're in the situation that we're in. But wait a minute, it goes further. The second beast of Revelation 13 is the United States of America. And what does it say about that lamb-like beast that looks like a lamb, but speaks like who? A dragon. Who is that? What does that, what does that mean? Why did I bring that up with conjunction, making war with the saints? Revelation chapter 13, verse 11 and 12. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Now you remember the first beast we saw, the Catholic Church and the world power of Babylon. The dragon gives it power, seat, and great authority. Well, here you got the same dragon speaking through the second beast. It actually is the second beast. It's disguised as a lamb. Okay, but wait, look at verse 12. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. So in other words, if the first beast made war with the saints and prevailed against them, and the second beast exercises all the power of the first beast, that is obviously telling us that the second beast also does what? It makes war with the saints and prevails against them. It's all there for us. It's all written. Okay? It's all written there. The second beast exercises all the power of the first beast. And it says before him, which means the word before him, when you look up that verse, that phrase in the Greek, it's like under his supervision. Not just that the first beast existed before, which it did, but it's now under the supervision of the first beast. And it makes war with the saints and prevails against them. Which is why the second beast tells the earth, let's make an image to the first beast. Let's make a whole world system that's aligned, that's modeled after the first beast. So now you know what they got planned for us. See, you ain't got to be a conspiracy theorist to see what they got planned for us. If they want to make a whole world system and call it the image to the beast, which Revelation 13 tells us they are doing, and it's already in place. They just haven't been able to exercise the power they want to yet because the Most High is sealing 144,000. But their plan is to have an entire world system that's political, religious, economic, right, spiritual, under one powerful umbrella, which is already in place. And they want that powerful umbrella to do everything that the first beast did, which means they prevail over the saints, make war against them. The saints now, though, is the Israelite people. Not only that, the Israelite people and the converts to the scattered nation, and the converts to the scattered nation are of all other nations, and they're all going to be the poorest people, because we read this yesterday. Let's go back now to Jeremiah. Chapter 8, I'm sorry, chapter 7. I keep saying 8, but I meant 7. Chapter 7, verse 6. If ye oppress not the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, and shed not innocent blood in this place, neither walk after other gods to your hurt. So everything that the Most High is telling his chosen people not to do, the reason also he's telling them not to do it, not only because it violates the covenant between them, but also it's what the other nations do. That's because that's what the other nations that he's going to destroy do. So now let's put it all together. The little horn of Daniel 7, which is the same as the whore of Revelation 17, that's riding the same beast, both Daniel 7, Revelation 13, and Revelation 17. is in line with a weaker nation. That's something they control, to do everything that they do already, which is oppress the poor, the fatherless, and the widow, to make war with the saints and to prevail against them until the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Brethren, good news, the real gospel, the time has come that the saints possess the kingdom. The time of the saints possessing the kingdom is in conjunction with the awakening. Okay, the awakening has begun. So now it's the time for the saints to possess the kingdom. And so you're going to have these two facets. You're going to have a giant worldwide corporate conglomerate, media control, mind control through churches and media situation that is now here. And you're going to have this small remnant. That's the fewest of the people, the fewest of all the people, made up of bloodline Israelites, bloodline from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and those that come with them, that come together to worship the only true God, that have the same testimony as a certain sister named Rahab. You know, Rahab, you remember Rahab's testimony? Rahab's testimony is the same as another sister, a Moabite, who became an Israelite, Ruth's testimony. Rahab was from Jericho, right? And what was her testimony? Let's read her testimony. In Joshua chapter 2. Watch this testimony from Rahab. Joshua chapter 2. Let's start from the beginning. Rahab. Going to begin. We'll start at verse 3. And the king of Jericho sent unto Rahab, saying, bring forth the men that are come to thee, which are entered into thine house, for they be come to search out all the country. And the woman took the two men and hid them, and said thus, there came men unto me, but I wist not whence they were. And it came to pass that about the time of the shutting of the gate, when it was dark, that the men went out. Whether the men went, I wot not. Whether the men went, I wot not. Pursue after them quickly, for ye shall overtake them. But she had brought them up to the roof of the house, and hid them with the stalks of flax, which she had laid in order upon the roof. And the men pursued after them by the way to Jordan unto the fords. As soon as they which pursued after them were gone out, they shut the gate. And before they were laid down, she came up unto them upon the roof. Now here's her testimony. Now she had already worked on behalf of the Israelites. Hint, she had already risked her life for the Israelites, worked on behalf of the chosen at this point already. Okay, but listen to her testimony. And she said unto the men, I know that Yahweh hath given you the land, and that your terror is fallen upon us, and that all the inhabitants of the land faint because of you. For we have heard how Yahweh dried up the water of the Red Sea for you when ye came out of Egypt, and what ye did unto the two kings of the Amorites that were on the other side of Jordan, Sihon and Og, whom ye utterly destroyed. And as soon as we had heard these things, our hearts did melt. Neither did there remain any more courage in any man because of you. For Yahweh, your most high, he is most high, in heaven above and in earth beneath. Now, therefore, I pray you, swear unto me by Yahweh, since I have showed you kindness, that ye will also show kindness unto my father's house, and give me a true token, and that ye will save alive my father and my mother, my brethren and my sisters, and all that they have, deliver our lives from death. That's a true testimony. Talk about a statement of faith. What would that sound like today? Listen, I'm from X country. I'm Asian. I'm Caucasian. I'm European. But I have read that you are the true Israelites. I know that the Father has chosen you. I know that your Yah is the only true God. I want to be serving that God with you. Wait a minute. I told you about Ruth too, didn't I? Let's look at Ruth, the Moabitess. Let's start in Ruth chapter 1. I'm going to start from Ruth chapter 1. I'm going to start at verse 3. Actually, I'm going to start at verse 1 just for the context. I'm going to go from verse 1 and go down to verse 10. No, wait a minute. I'm going to go down to verse 17. Watch. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land. And a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. And the name of the man was Elimelech. And the name of his wife, Naomi. And the name of his 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem, Judah. And they came into the country of Moab and continued there. And Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left and her 2 sons. And they took them wives of the woman of Moab. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other, Ruth. And they dwelled there about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died also, both of them. And the woman was left of her 2 sons and her husband. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law, that she might return from the country of Moab. For she had heard in the country of Moab how that Yahweh had visited his people and given them bread. Wherefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her. And they went on in the way to return to the land of Judah. And Naomi said unto her 2 daughters-in-law, Go, return each to her mother's house. Yahweh deal kindly with you as ye have dealt with the dead and with me. Yahweh grant you that ye may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voice and wept. And they said unto her, Surely we will return with thee unto thy people. And Naomi said, Turn again, my daughters. Why will ye go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husband? Turn again, my daughters. Go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, if I should have a husband also tonight, and also bear sons, would ye tarry for them till they were grown? Would ye stay for them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sakes, that the hand of Yahweh is gone out against me. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. And she said, Behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, Entreat me not to leave thee, or to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go, and where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God, my God. Where thou diest, will I die, and there will I be buried. Yahweh do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. That's a powerful testimony, boy. See, so you want to know an example of someone that's not of the nation coming to the nation? You can see it there very clear between Ruth, the Moabitess. You can see it with Rahab the harlot. Rahab the harlot ended up marrying a man in Jerusalem, in Israel, called Salmon. Salmon had a son. His name was Boaz, who married Ruth. Boaz and Ruth had a son whose name was Obed. Obed had a son whose name was Jesse. And Jesse had a son whose name was King David, tribe of Judah, the eventual progenitor of Messiah. It started with these 2 women that came on a statement of faith toward the true God of Israel. Isn't that amazing? There was no paperwork signed, right? There was no group to join up with by signatures and baptism. No, it was statement of faith. And the statement was powerful. Praise the Most High. So back to Jeremiah chapter 7. Let's look at Jeremiah chapter 7. I don't think we finished Jeremiah chapter 7. yesterday. So let's continue Jeremiah 7 and then go to Jeremiah chapter 8. So yesterday we were talking about the temple, and we got the background of the temple and what it meant, right? Praise the Most High, and how it started with Abraham seeing Messiah's day on a spot that he was asked to offer his only begotten son, and how the Most High used as a sign to show Abraham Messiah, who Father was going to offer up. And as Isaac offered himself willingly to Abraham to be sacrificed for sin, so Messiah offered himself willingly at the Father's request to be sacrificed for the sin of his people. Now, we saw how, because of such a history and more, the Israelite people got arrogant and started rejecting the knowledge of the Most High, becoming willfully ignorant. And because of that willful ignorance, eventually we're going to see more of all that came upon them. So let's look at Jeremiah chapter 7. I'm going to start at verse 6 again. If ye oppress not the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow, and shed not innocent blood in this place, neither walk after the gods after other gods to your hurt, then will I cause you to dwell in this place, in the land that I gave to your fathers forever and ever. Behold, ye trust in lying words that cannot profit. Will ye steal, murder, and commit adultery, and swear falsely, and burn incense unto Baal, and walk after other gods whom ye know not, and come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name, and say, we are delivered to do all these abominations? Is this house, which is called by my name, become a den of robbers in your eyes? Behold, even I have seen it, saith Yahweh. But go ye now unto my place, which was in Shiloh, where I set my name at the first, and see what I did to it for the wickedness of my people Israel. And now, because ye have done all these works, saith Yahweh, and I spake unto you, rising up early and speaking, but ye heard not. I called you, but you answered not. Therefore will I do unto this house, which is called by my name, wherein ye trust, unto the place which I have gave to you and to your fathers, as I have done in Shiloh. I will cast you out of my sight, as I have cast out all your brethren, even the whole seed of Ephraim. Now, I want you to understand when he talks about Shiloh. I've said it before, but I want to make sure we reiterate it because it could be easily forgotten. Shiloh, as he said here, was the place that he first put his name there. Shiloh was the capital of the land that belonged to the tribe of Ephraim. Ephraim's tribe produced the leader that led Israel into the promised land, whose name was Joshua, Yahushua, who Moses had anointed at the request of the Father to lead the children of Israel into the land. So Joshua, the son of Nun, was from the tribe of Ephraim. And so Ephraim's tribe, because of Joshua, was where the Ark of the Covenant stayed. So the Levites that came with Joshua into Ephraim, they set up the Ark that Moses had commanded them to build in Ephraim in a city called Shiloh. And that's where it was. Now, when David became king, he requested of the Most High, and the prophet Nathan told him, go and do. He brought the ark from Ephraim and put it in the city of David. Now, the reason the Most High allowed him to do that was because of the prophecy that Messiah would be coming from the lawgiver. He would be the lawgiver in Judah, according to the prophecy of Jacob. He would come from Judah. Okay? And so because of that, there was a rift between Ephraim and Judah. There was a rift. And the rift only got wider when the two nations, when they became two kingdoms, the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom of Judah, the rift got wider. But the northern kingdom started worshiping other gods. They started worshiping the gods of the nations around them, the gods of the heathen. And the Most High had Shiloh destroyed. Dan also, because those two tribes were leading the rebellion against Yahweh. And so he had the Assyrians destroy them. You could read about that in 1st and 2nd Kings. He had the Assyrians destroy them and destroy and level Shiloh and take it over. That's where you also had the well where Jacob's well was there. And that's where Messiah met the woman at the well. Isn't that interesting? It was at the well that Jacob came to when he first wandered into that land and he was looking for his wife. And he moved the stone from the well and gave water, if you remember. That's where he met his wife, eventually his wife Rachel. Okay. And so it was that same spot that Messiah met the woman at the well and told her, you don't know what you're worshiping. Because the history of that whole place was of falsehoods and worship. That's why he says salvation is of the Jews. It's from the nations, from the southern kingdom of Judah. The salvation is coming out of Judah. Okay, it's amazing how it all fits together like a perfect piece, one piece together. That's what I'm saying. People that don't understand, there's no problem that you don't understand. Don't start attacking the book because you don't understand. Just read it and trust in its words. The Most High is the one that gives understanding. His Spirit gives understanding. But we have to admit when we don't understand. People attack the book because they don't understand. Okay, or other religions attack it, don't understand, don't read it, don't know what it says. Then I've heard people say, you know, Islam and Christianity are the same. Maybe they are, but this is not Islam and it's not Christianity. These are the children of Israel, and there's no Arab prophets, and he had no other book written by any Arab. It's going to be Israelite prophets, and this King James is translated from scrolls of Israelite prophets. Okay, that's all these people were. Even New Testament, Israelite prophets. James, John, Peter, Matthew, they're Israelite prophets, apostles. Okay, given to write these things. There's no Arabs among them. Okay, so that, and again, that's hard for the people of the earth to receive, being that we've all been brainwashed into thinking prophets come from everywhere. Just like we all worship the same God. No, not according to this book. There's only one true God, and he's only shown himself to one people. And his servants are the Israelite people, the children of Jacob. That's what the book says. Now, either you believe it or you don't. That's not, my business is not whether you believe it or not. My business is to publish it, to speak it, to teach it from the book. People that don't want to. That's no business. Keep it moving. Go wherever you want to go. But the people interested in these books, by the Spirit coming from this thing, you can follow the truth of this book. Ain't no other prophets. There's no. Just like there ain't no other God. He said, is there any other God beside me? The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? He said, there is no other God. I know not any. And all the gods of the nations, that's all the nations outside of Israel. That's all outside of Israel. All the gods of the nations are idols. Yahweh made the heaven. I know this sounds harsh in a world that's filled with lies that tells everybody we worship the same God no matter what religion you are. I know that sounds harsh, but it's not the intention to be harsh. It's just to be truthful. And sometimes truth sounds harsh, especially, again, in a world founded on lies. Truth is a rebellious act. It's an act of sedition when you speak truth in a world founded with lies, where people are trying to hide history or change it to make themselves feel better, to hide their sin. Truth hurts, but it also sets you free. Let's continue. Jeremiah chapter 7. Very beginning again at verse 14. Therefore will I do unto this house, which is called by my name, wherein ye trust, unto the place which I gave to you and to your fathers, as I have done to Shiloh. And I will cast you out of my sight, as I have cast out all your brethren, even the whole seed of Ephraim. Therefore pray not thou for this people, neither lift up cry nor prayer for them, neither make concession to me, for I will not hear thee. Seest thou not what they do in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem? The children gather wood and the fathers kindle fire, and the women knead their dough to make cakes to the queen of heaven. Stop. The queen of heaven sounds female to me, does it not? They make cakes and they worshiping the queen of heaven. You see also one of the commonalities of all the pagan gods is a woman joins their godhead. A woman joins their godhead. A woman ends up running things. That's why Eve was placed below Adam, to be subject to Adam, because the woman first saw that she wanted to be a goddess. That was Satan's plan. That's why he offered it to her. She was deceived in that she could not become a goddess, and he was lying to her. But that lie has been received by the earth that we now live in. In the Catholic Church, Mary is the goddess. In Islam, it's Khadijah. Okay, Judaism really doesn't have one because they actually molest children as part of their religion. Look at the Talmud. They can have children as little as 9 years old. I dare them to tell me I'm telling you different. But goddesses, Vishnu, it's common. Diana, and here the Queen of Heaven. Ishtar, that's right, the goddess of fertility. Okay? Nothing new under the sun, brother. And right now, as I mentioned to y'all, what the devil did through this women's liberation movement is caused the Caucasian woman's argument with her husband. That was the women's liberation movement, was the Caucasian woman argument with her man. They turned that to make the Hebrew woman down their own husbands, who never had an argument with them. And that's what it was used for, to destroy the male among the Israelites, to aid in the destruction of the male among the Israelites. So that the Israelite woman is now being employed by our enemies to destroy the male. Unlike in Egypt, if you remember, they told the two midwives, when you see an Israelite male come from in her womb, kill it. If it's a female, you can leave it alive. But the two Israelite women did not follow what the Pharaoh asked to do and save the males. Sisters, the ones that desire to be the virtuous ones among you, now you have your marching orders. Help save the males. Support the males. They're being destroyed. They're being attacked. They're being maligned. They're being brainwashed. If you're hearing me, understand what I just said. Pray for your males. Support your males. And you will also be blessed like those two sisters. But there's not a lot of you out there. Not a lot. Because most are buying into what we've been set up to become and putting us in jail and keeping us unemployed and calling us boy. Most of them, y'all been buying into the system that's destroyed our men. Because they'll bless the sisters. Y'all will get good jobs. Y'all get your education and move on. And then you down us when we can't, as if something's wrong with us. Ain't nothing wrong with us. The fact that we still exist is a testament to our strength in our God, because they are meant to destroy us like Pharaoh did and incorporate all y'all with them. Just look at the book. It's right there. There should be no woman leading a church as a reverend or a pastor. And there should be no woman trying to teach an Israelite man. You should be supporting the men. Even if they're ignorant, support them. The Most High will bring the truth to them. And if you're in the house with them by yourself, that's when you can reveal some things to them, but never in front of other men. That's the word. He is made in Yah's image, and Yah will deliver him. He's going to. The only question is, are you going to be with him? The Most High is raising up 144,000 men. He's doing it. The only question is, are you going to be found supporting them or not? Okay. Now, I'm not talking about allowing yourselves to be abused, because some brothers are just straight sick. This system has caused some of us to lose our mind, straight up. Some of us have lost our mind. I'm not telling you, I'm not saying to you, go get abused. If dudes are doing sadistic stuff to you, get out, do what you need to do, survive. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the brothers that's not doing that. The brothers out here working, picking up garbage, working in McDonald's, working in Cooks, short order service, because that's all they could get. The brothers that's making half the money as some of their counterparts. I'm talking about people like that, which is the majority of us. Majority of us ain't crazy. Some of y'all hang around the crazy ones too much, but they ain't majority of us. But majority of us are underpaid, disrespected. Majority of us are. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Let's continue. Queen of heaven, and to pour out drink offerings unto other gods, that they may provoke me to anger. Do they provoke me to anger? Saith Yahweh. Do they not provoke themselves to confusion of their own faces? Thus saith the Most High Yahweh. Behold, my anger and my fury shall be poured out upon this place, upon man and upon beast, upon the trees of the field, and upon the fruit of the ground, and it shall burn and shall not be quenched. Thus saith the Yahweh of hosts, the God of Israel, put your burnt offerings into your sacrifices, and eat flesh, for I spake not unto your fathers, nor commanded them in the day I brought them out of the land of Egypt, concerning burnt offerings and sacrifices. But this thing commanded I them, saying, obey my voice, and I will be your most high. Ye shall be my people, and walk in all the ways that I have commanded you, that it may be well with you. But they hearken not, nor incline their ear, but walked in the counsels and in the imagination of their evil heart, and went backward and not forward, since the day that your fathers came forth out of the land of Egypt. Unto this day I have sent unto you all my servants, the prophets. Do you see that? I have sent unto you all my servants, the prophets. What? Were they Babylonian prophets? Japhet prophets? Hamitic prophets? No. They're prophets like Jeremiah of the 12 tribes. Daily rising up early and sending them, yet they hearken not unto me, nor incline their ear, but harden their neck. They did worse than their fathers. Therefore, thou shalt speak all these words unto them, but they will not hearken to thee. Thou shalt also call unto them, but they will not answer thee. But thou shalt say unto them, this is a nation that obeyeth not the voice of Yahweh, their most high, nor receiveth correction. Truth is perished, and is cut off from their mouth. Cut off thine hair, O Jerusalem, and cast it away. Take up a lamentation on high places, for Yahweh hath rejected and forsaken the generation of his wrath. For the children of Judah have done evil in my sight, saith Yahweh. They have set their abominations in the house which is called by my name to pollute it. And they have built the high places of Tophet, which is in the valley of the son of Hinnom, to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire, which I commanded them not. Neither came it into my heart. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be called Tophet, nor the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of slaughter. For they shall bury in Tophet till there be no place. And the carcasses of this people shall be meat for the fowls of heaven and for the beasts of the earth, and none shall fray them away. Then will I cause to cease from the cities of Judah and the streets of Jerusalem the voice of myrrh and the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, for the land shall be desolate. Now, some people would read something like this and say, so he's cast them off forever. They're never going to be his people again. You got to read the whole thing. It's prophesied that this should happen. And it's prophesied that we should return. Okay? It's prophesied of we should awaken later on. And he also said in the latter days. That's us. That's where we live, the latter days. So he's telling us everything. Praise the Most High. But he's telling us everything. The book is telling us everything. It's telling us what happened, why it happened, how we got here. It's also telling us how we're going to get out. It's telling us everything. Now, the thing is that we have to be willing, what? To accept the truth. Not fight against it or hide it like our enemies are doing. Our enemies are doing that. See, Juneteenth, the way I look at it, it's a day off. Because yesterday I had a surprise day off. That's the way I looked at it. I said, oh, shoot, I got a day off. They could call it Witch Doctor Day. If they close it up shop and I get a day off, I'm good. You understand? Call it whatever you want. It's a day off. But don't think, they doing us any favors, y'all. They're not doing you no favors. Because like I said, this is Babylon. And Babylon means confusion. So they're doing opposite things. So you got Congress and the Senate right now trying to pass laws to stop the teaching of slave history in the United States or to pervert it. At the same time, passing a law talking about Juneteenth. Come on, man. And we understand from the word of the Most High, there's no righteousness in this system. There's no righteousness here. Not the perfect righteousness of the Father, but there's going to be on this earth. There's going to be perfect righteousness given on this planet when Messiah comes, who is the Prince of the Father, the King of Kings on the earth, the one that brings Father's perfect righteousness to us. He's going to rule. And when he does, and David is raised up with his new body to sit in Jerusalem as king, then perfect righteousness will reign on the earth. But not now. No, perfect righteousness must exist within us, y'all. We must trust in that spirit in order to overcome all our sin. And it's guaranteed. You trust in the spirit of the Father's perfect righteousness. You, through Messiah, you will overcome all your sins because the Father will grant you the perfect righteousness because of his Son that sits before him on your behalf. When you pray for the perfect righteousness of the Father, it's Messiah that appeals to the Father and say, in my name, send that brother or that sister, your perfect righteousness. Because he granted it to Messiah to do. And Father will respond to that. Never down the Son. Because without him, you cannot be saved. You cannot be delivered. Okay? And because the earth has made a different one, a Caucasian one, a Christian one that doesn't exist in the Bible, the Father is not even hearing that. What he's first doing when he tries to reach a heathen person is bring you to the truth. That's what he tries to do first. He tries to bring you to the truth and bring you to the truth. And then when you see it, to repentance. Okay? There are people that I've known of the heathen that we receive in dreams. And that's what I can see. I can see the Father trying to bring you to the truth. He wants you to acknowledge. He wants you to wake up to the truth and then bring repentance. But some of them take it that, oh, I'm supposed to be some great prophet. He's going to make me a prophet. No, he's trying to save you. He's trying to save you. People don't get it. The Father is trying to save us. His word is going to come to pass. There's nothing that's going to stop his word from coming to pass. The earth is going to be filled with his knowledge. The kingdom is going to be established. There's going to be a new Jerusalem. Nothing can stop that. Nothing. But the question is what our role will be in it. That's the question. Because all of us have been born unto this time. Within 10 years of the finishing of all of this stuff, we've been born unto this time. The question is, what role are we going to play in these last days? Judas was born to be Judas. He was born at that time. The question was he going to play that role of the traitor? He did. Peter was born to be Peter. Kepha was there. Was he born to deny the Messiah? No, he wasn't. But did he? Yes. Did he repent? Yes. We're born unto this time. We're placed here. We could have been born 1,000 years ago. We could have been born any other time. We're born now. The question is, yes, who shall be able to stand? The question is up to us. Our destiny is our choice. Because the word is going to happen the way it says it's going to happen. There's nothing that could be stopping it. Nothing's going to stop it. That's why I don't bother arguing with people. I don't need to argue into existence the truth. The truth is what it is. And the power of it is what it is. You understand? The only question is, as Messiah said, are you going to fall on it and be broken, or is it going to fall on you and crush you? That's the question. Okay? That's what the question. Some of us, we're going to fall on it and be broken, right? Be repentant. So for the majority, it's going to grind in powder because nothing's going to stop it. The creator that causes the sun to rise and set every day, there is no power nowhere that can stop that. And he does it. Okay, so it's up to us. Okay, I'm going to stop here. We're going to come back and continue in chapter 8, which is going to give more detail. Chapter 8 and 9 actually give more detail into who the Israelites are by what has happened to them. If you can come back, come back. If not, not. But we go by the grace of the Most High, we'll record it so that if you can listen to it at some other time, it'll be on YouTube. I'm going to change the title of this one because I thought I was doing 8 now. I was actually doing 7. So I'm going to change the title of this one. But Most High bless you and keep you. The Most High cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Shalom.